Hi everyone, welcome back to Game 3 of this Friday Night F&M Pioneer. And we are here at the top table with two players who are 2-0. On our left-hand side, we have Abs and Greasefang. And staying with us for their third match is Azorius Control. Luci Pher is with me, and we're talking through this gameplay and the matchups. How are you feeling about this matchup here, Lucy? Like, obviously, Abs and Greasefang has returned, or is gaining stock in the meta over the last couple of weeks. How does it
With
face
some
up
new
against
tech.
Azorius?
I
Yeah, new
think
tech.
this matchup is close. Greasefang has a lot of tools, such as Salt Seas and Duress, to sort of strip the control player's hand of their potent interactive spells. So whether or not the Greasefang player has access to Thought Seize or not in the early turns is going to be very vital. But also, Control is going to want to have a bunch of answers. Greasefang is a very potent threat that can represent a lot of damage very quickly. If Control doesn't have the means to answer those cards through discard spells like Thought Seize, Duress, possibly even Go Blank from the sideboard, if the Greasefang player is playing those, it's going to be very difficult for Control. But it is very close. Typically, if the control player can get through the early turns, dodging such potent threats as Greasefang, Essica's Chariot, and also just like the little beats you can get from Rafine's Informants. So long as you can answer those threats and stop a Parhelion from hitting the bin and coming back, the control player should be fine. But we'll have to see what happens here. It's definitely a very close matchup. It's not free by any means.
Sure, and a big win for Azorius Control here was literally winning the dice roll. Like Greasefang can, with the right run out without any interaction, hit you for 13. So if they go on the play, they're actually keeping an Azorius Control is putting back. I think that's wise for an aggressive mulligan on Azorius Control side as well. You've got to stop it from happening, isn't it? You've got to stop it from happening. You also got to stop it from happening multiple times. So you need to have that sort of that run out. You probably
need to make sure that you can find your answers and have them in a timely manner.
Yeah, you're probably a little bit less selective now on 6 because going to 5, you're just hating because you're wanting to get to 3 mana as well. So interesting. We'll see shortly, probably what was kept on the Greasefang side. Going on the draw, I can imagine if this is a hand stacked for the Thought Season interaction. That's the first thing you want to do. You just want to get rid of. You just want to get rid of that absorb. You want to get rid of that Dovin's veto, so that you can get through turn 2, turn 3, do your thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you can see the control player has what looks like Shark Typhoon, Dovin's veto, and an absorb. So not short of answers here, but the Greasefang player is just going to go Thicket into Traverse for a basic. So it must be slightly light on lands if they're doing that, or maybe even light on colors, but probably going to go for a Swamp, because I think it's the only land that Greasefang plays.
I think right, and I think this is kind of guiding us to likely Rafine's Informant and a artifact at least in hand. Maybe not Greasefang, just to mean that they knew that they could go searching, get set up, and potentially have a turn 3 play if the door was wide open. The big thing you're concerned about is Absorb. Absorb is the one with 3 mana stays open that you are worried about as Greasefang.
So I can actually counter a Greasefang.
Yeah, there is Greasefang.
Speaking of which, there he is.
So that came off the top. There's the Rafine's Informant, which tells us they're going to connive. And I'm pretty sure this is a Parhelion going into the bin.
No, it's an Essica's Chariot.
Okay.
Still pretty solid if you manage to get a Greasefang to resolve.
Sure.
And either way, that 3-2 is going to be very potent. Just looks like the control player just going to cycle a Shark Typhoon, try to find more answers. Draws another Absorb. And it's going to shock down to 18.
Sure. So we know Absorb is there. Pointing out the Shark Typhoon. Concealed Courtyard is going to drop as it's the fast land that's remaining. Temptation is to just jam. I believe that's what we're seeing. Yeah, we're just seeing a jam, and we're seeing an absorb. So this is totally fair. You're not always too upset as the Greasefang player to see your first Greasefang go to the bin because Can't Stay Away will buy it back for you, and you just have a bit of agency. Like Takanuma's Mine will also get it back for you as well. So we're untapped drawing 4 mana up this time. you're a little bit happier as a Greasefang player because you've seen one of your absorbs. So you just want to find a way to cast your creatures now. Going for the pathway approach of putting a reminder card and bringing them out of the box, which we like. It's gonna be 4. Guessing a chariot from hand. It is, and
it's going to get
okay,
immediately absorbed.
immediately absorbed. I don't think the Greasefang player hates it. I think they think that's one
It's
less
another
threat.
interactive piece. I think the control player was probably more interested in using a veto for that. And I think they might have bottomed a veto, maybe wishing that they'd gotten to keep that so that the absorb could be useful a little bit later on in the game, maybe counter another Greasefang.
So 4 mana is fine at this spot for the control player. They will be able to counter or interact with anything that is dropped. What do we got at the top? I think that was a land. We're doing another pathway. Assumedly playing for black, yeah, because we have the green. This is the F&M special Grizzly Salvage. It is instantly hit
That is
everything that they want to
beautiful.
see. With 2 absorbs in the bin and 3 mana up, I think you're taking Greasefang here.
You're absolutely taking Greasefang here. You want that Parhelion in the bin.
And you're jamming. You're jamming.
That's just a vile Grizzly Salvage. That is everything that you want and more. You're absolutely taking that Greasefang. Probably just gonna go for it. And with 2 absorbs already cast by the control player, they gotta be wishing that they kept that Dovin's veto. It looks
right
like
now,
this might end up resolving. Yeah, it resolves. That's got to be backbreaking for control. They're going to need to find a way to deal with this.
That is going to be 16 to the face.
That is a lot of damage coming in.
The 2 angels are going to resolve. The control player is not scooping, suggesting to me that there is something. At least
I see a Wandering Emperor. I also see a Memory Deluge.
Okay.
They're going to cast a Memory Deluge. I think, personally, I like playing the Wandering Emperor and getting rid of like a Rafine's Informant or something. You get to gain a bit of life. It maybe keeps you alive just a little bit longer. You get to make it to if they end up having to like swing with the Greasefang or the Chariot. You can make another blocker. In a cycle of sense to try to find something. Was that a verdict off the top?
That was a verdict off the top. Okay, backed into the bin for you, Greasefang.
Okay, there's a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance.
What's that? There's a Chariot. No, Traverse.
Traverse to find another Greasefang,
and
that's just gonna do it. Yeah, no, they're gonna scoop.
That's game, and that card coming back into the meta to take use of the Delirium. There is many builds playing the 2-drop Mutt card. Let me say this.
Scrapwork Mutt.
Scrapwork Mutt. That's the word. So Scrapwork Mutt is very much like a Rafine's Informant. It's actually subjective. You can discard if you may, but the important thing about the text on this is that is an artifact. So when you're doing Traverse the Overworld, you are gonna be able to use that as an artifact or creature when you're trying to retrieve Delirium, meaning you can quite regularly go and get Greasefang, and is just as we've seen there, a backbreaking game-winning play. 2 Greasefangs were in the bin, so that was the perfect card for the perfect situation.
Sideboarding, exactly what Greasefang needed.
Sideboarding here. What is Control doing?
Control was citing in Rest in Peace.
Of course.
Was probably all you care about as the control player. I could see you playing Baneslayer Angel and Lyra. It's something I like to do on Control. Just in case, they have Parhelion, you can easily block it. Or you can easily block the Angels, and you can gain a sizable amount of life. You can block quite a lot of damage that way. it's able to just put down a roadblock that the Greasefang deck is just not able to deal with because they're not playing, removal in that sense.
Sure. Greasefang is getting duress. No question. It's getting duress. It's probably. I'm not sure exactly about this build, but I believe if there wasn't already 2 in the main, there would have been 4 in the sideboard. So the Greasefang basically tries to get to a point where it slams the door shut and opens it back up again. Is that? Did they just? Okay, so that's chariots. Chariots out. Yeah. So
I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think you're trying to play a fair game in the slightest. I think you just want to play stuff that interacts.
So it was a
last
last minute extra chariots out to put the extra lilies in, which I think that's the right call.
Lily is a very, very good card against control. It's very difficult for the control deck to beat. If you can get a Lily down, ideally when they don't have many cards, you exhaust their other threats. Maybe by casting a couple of Greasefangs, they get countered, and you just slam the door with a Lily. It's very difficult for control to get back from that point in the game.
Yeah, and Lily quite often in this matchup will ultimate, which will sometimes in its own just swing a game over.
Oh yeah, no, a Lily. If a Lily gets to ult, the game is over. It's very difficult for control to get back from losing that much tempo. Lily is already attacking the hand, making it very difficult for the control player to really do anything with their spells.
Lily's general presence sometimes also makes the fairy use its down tick rather than its usual plus, so that helps Greasefang just buy that extra little bit of time because
exactly
it just ends up being a little bit scared. We're seeing quite a we saw a keep, and we saw a duress. Huge duress.
2-lander off of control, but there is a rest in peace, and that's immediately going to hit the bin.
That's a huge duress.
Not really much going on the control side. Looks like they kept an awkward hand with a lockdown, Shark Typhoon, and a Sensor, but there is a Teferi there, so if they can get through those later turns, I think Teferi could maybe pull a little bit of weight.
I think though when you're on 7 and you have 2 lands and you have rest in peace, knowing what's coming, I think is correct. You're hoping that you don't get thought seized, but it was the next worst thing, duress. She is with the Boon Command.
This is an interesting situation. Are they going to censor that with a Bloom Command, or are they going to save it for a Greasefang? I think they're just going to let it happen. Okay.
And I think that's the right play because you want to be ready. They can't bring anything back. Can't Stay Away is in the bin. Ezekiel's Chariot is there now.
That is an Ezekiel's Chariot that they definitely did not want them to hit because now the Greasefang is a life threat. So maybe holding that, just being aggressive with your Sensor at this point was the right call.
Did we see Can't Stay Away in hand as well? Because at the moment it's the very cheeky from hand Can't Stay Away, which would bring back the Ezekiel's Chariot and bring back the Greasefang to bring back the Ezekiel's Chariot. Doesn't look like it. Considering the life total. No, just resolving what was still known information from the duress. Here comes the pathway.
It looks like they're eyeing up that Godless Shrine.
And is it coming in tapped or not? No.
Nope, they do end up casting the Golgari pathway. It looks like they're going to get Darkball.
Pathway, an interesting call in this matchup. I think maybe a combination of fast lands and shocks is maybe okay now. Oh, okay. No, Greasefang there. And
Greasefang immediately gets censored. That card is incredibly dangerous.
So, Sensor being there has just, shut it down, which is great. That was what the Greasefang player...
not hitting a 4th land. That's incredibly rough for the control player. Not what you want to see. But, a Fateful Absence will allow them to, potentially deal with something. But, no, not a good position for blue-white control right now. They really want that 4th land.
There's the Godless Shrine, taking 2. Life is not a threat. It's just, can you just sequence things properly and stay alive?
That's a chariot, and it's gonna resolve. Oh,
It is.
this is a very bad position for the control deck right now. They are very far behind. Missing a land drop like that is horrible. And yeah,
Oh,
no, Supreme Verdict off the top, but it doesn't matter because they have only 3 lands on the battlefield.
okay. There's the Reformant.
Very, very bad beats for the control player right now.
There's a Parhelion. They're 1 land away from being able to cast Can't Stay Away. So,
I mean, they can just cast Can't Stay Away right now. They could cast another Greasefang if they have it. If they play land Greasefang, it's, if the control player doesn't have anything, it's all but over.
so crewing the cats, making another chariot. Yeah, I
They're just
think
going to straight up kill the chariot before it's able to do anything.
I think the control player hates that, but it's the only thing they can do. I think it has to happen.
I don't know. I think I see that Parhelion in the graveyard. I think I'm a lot more scared of a Greasefang. I'm a lot more scared of a Greasefang being able to just hit the field. There's the 4th land. Wondering if they're going to cast that Supreme Verdict or even that Temporary Lockdown. Either way, I think they just need to deal with this board, because if they have a Greasefang, they do nothing, they have a Greasefang, I don't see any counter magic. I think they're just dead. So I do think a board wipe is probably going to be what you want to do, and then just kind of hope that they don't find a Greasefang. I think that's the way forward here.
Yeah, I think lockdown.
Gonna do nothing. Okay. I feel like that's a very risky play to do. I think I like casting Temporary Lockdown here. Getting rid of those creatures just so that a Greasefang isn't lethal.
Sure.
I think they have a Greasefang in hand, so I think this game is pretty much all but over here. Slitherball pathway on the Greasefang side.
Oh, this Greasefang.
Gonna cast a Witherbloom command.
This is to increase the life tick. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But also probably to mill. Okay, there's a Temple Garden. Not getting a land.
They have 3 though. They have Greasefang ready. They have Greasefang loaded, ready to go. The consideration is it an absorb?
I mean that 6th land can be very relevant, but yeah, no, that's it.
And Greasefang takes an unfavorable 2-0, but I think what we saw was we saw a very vital missed 4th land in game 2, but an absolute god run out in game 1 for Greasefang.
A horrendous misplay on the control side as well. I do think casting that Temporary Lockdown. You cast that Temporary Lockdown, you already have the Supreme Verdict. You're able to get rid of those tokens. They cast the Greasefang, get a Parhelion back, hit you for 13, you go down to 1, and then you're able to cast the Supreme Verdict, and then maybe go from there. Hope they don't find something else. I think that's just your best plan at that point. But I do think there was also a Can't Stay Away in the graveyard, so I think that game was probably as good as done anyway.
Yep. Well, some fantastic sequencing from the Greasefang player as well. They go to 3-0. This evening was a 10-person F&M, so we will be moving on to game 4, top table, and let's see who comes down the victor. See you all soon.